Hello and welcome back to another series of SMB Live. It has been a while since we've been in the studio where we actually sat down and done this. And I was thinking about a show that I wanted to do to relaunch. And that has to be based on a blog that Charlott created recently, giving top tips around how to network. And I thought that was a brilliant concept. And so I've asked Charlott if I could interview her, which is a very strange concept for both of us. But let's welcome Charlott and let's look forward to a fantastic show. Charlott, this has got to be weird for you, right?
It's weird, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
I've missed the studio and I miss sharing what we do. So yeah.
It is. And it's great to be back in a recording kind of facility where we're actually adding good, honest, valuable content.
And Tesney is very, very excited about this.
Oh yeah, this is basically it. Okay, so look, you did a post recently. You were approached by Scott Media, an amazing Fiona Scott, who asked you to do a 10 top tips around networking. So we're going to talk about that today. Yeah. So you've got 10 tips here, and I want you to share them with me. So what is tip number one?
Top tip number one is listen. And people who are listening into the show, they might think, hang on, I'm going to a networking session. Why? Surely I should be talking, right? But you've got to listen to build relationships. If you don't listen to what the people are saying to you, and I see this a lot, that sounds so obvious, and but if you... There's
an example of this where people just talk at you rather than engaging.
I had this recently when somebody I was having a conversation with someone and I was listening because I'm very good at listening. It's my forte. And somebody popped in and went, oh, by the way, here's my business card. I don't have time to talk right now. I can promise you that if you do that, you will not get a phone call. I can guarantee it.
Yeah,
please
absolutely.
Don't do that. Just listen. Business owners, to get to know somebody and build the relationships with business owners, you've got to listen to what.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good because we were rambling. So we start again.
All right.
Third time lucky.
I don't know if we can. That's the only thing with this is we got to just keep going with it. So I'm just going to put a pause into it and then because I'll just have to edit it out.
Right. Is that hard?
No, I just delete the first bit.
So do we start again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back to SMB Live. It is great to be back in the studio and to launch off a whole new episode of what we're looking to put together. I've decided to interview the lovely Charlott, my wife, my friend, and co-founder of Senior Bounds, all about top tips on networking. So let's welcome Charlott and let's get the show started. Charlott, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. I love this. It's been a while and I've missed it. So is Tesney.
Is it nerve-wracking being interviewed?
No, not at all.
So, So where this concept came from in my head, in the world of Jamie Brain, was you recently were approached by the amazing Fiona Scott Media, who asked you to do an article for a Swindon and a Cardiff. It's called Total Guide to Swindon, Total Guide Cardiff. And she asked you to do top 10 top tips of networking. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
So let's go. Top tip number one.
Listen. Now, if you're listening into the show and you're thinking, I'm going to a networking event, surely I should be talking. And yes, of course you should, but make sure that you listen. Because if you don't listen, you will not remember the people that you've been talking to. You really got to get to build on those relationships. And by doing that, you need to listen. I see people all the time, especially at big events. They're kind of flickering around the room, looking for the next shiny thing or the next, and I come on to a few other points that leads into this.
Yeah.
But you're not going to make great connections and build relationships if you're constantly going to circle the room and not properly listen.
No, and sometimes I think it's a really good tip, this, because, and we'll talk about it more in the show, but if you don't listen to what other people are saying to you, you're not only missing opportunities where you can connect other people, but you're actually missing potential opportunities where you can support and help.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great tip, that is.
Yeah.
And I've gone to so many networks where they just talk at you, and you don't.
Nobody likes being talked at.
No. So tip number 2.
Well, that comes to purpose, and people, I think, miss this a lot. So first of all, you've got to want to be there. So if you're having a bad day and you think, oh gosh, I really can't be bothered to go there, or I really can't be bothered to log in, well, don't, you know, because it will show that you don't really want to be there. So you've got to have the purpose to want to be there. And by purpose, I mean that you have, you know, it's not, everyone is going to say, well, I'm going there to get business. Of course, we're all there to get business in one way or another. That's why we do networking. But you've got to think bigger than that. You've got to think outside the room. You've got to think about, maybe if it's a big event, like I mentioned earlier, then maybe go there with the purpose of connecting with 5 great people.
Yeah.
You know, if you have 5 connections in one day that you've had lengthy conversations with, and you really started to build that relationship, that is so much better than coming back with a pile of cards and you can't connect anyone.
I did one, recently, right? And I'm going to use this. So I went to a network recently. There was loads of people there, and I connected with one person, right? One person. I saw it was one person. His name was Andrew Minton. It was a while ago. And do you know what, actually? And it brings on to further points. I met Andrew originally at a network meeting months and months and months ago. Well, just after lockdown.
Yeah.
And then I met him again at this. I concreted that relationship, and now we are now working together.
Yeah.
And that's the power of one single connection, which is worth more than 10 business cards that I could have cropped in.
Yeah.
So purpose. Number 3.
Number 3 for me is ask questions. Ask open questions, because I think, and if you're new to networking, this is excellent. Because if you're very new to networking and you end up in a one-to-one, so obviously in our Senior Bounce, we've got 4 one-to-ones, which is a great way to get to know each other. But if you're nervous and you're not sure what to say, if you're maybe quite young in business as well, or maybe you're young as a person, ask the other business owner about their business. I have never met a business owner who don't like talking about their business.
It is really good, because like networking can be quite daunting. And actually, if you go into that network with that open mind of going, I'm just going to literally just go, if you're really shy or really nervous, just go, oh, hi, Charlotte, lovely to meet you. What is it that you do?
Yeah.
And literally, Charlotte will just talk about it.
People love talking about themselves.
Yeah. And the other thing I think as well with that open question is eventually you will get other people like us who would then go, well, this is what I do. So what do you do? And it will then trigger a more of a natural reaction. So I think that's
if you're a networker that networks a lot, opening up those questions of an open question, it will also, that's always when you get to know, you know, about their home life, about maybe they got a camper van like we do, or, you know, just get to know the person a little bit better.
Relationship building, that's what it's all about.
It's what it's all about. Yeah.
So tip number 4?
Tip number 4 is be prepared. And, you know, people will say, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm going to say, what do you mean?
Yeah, so on Senior Bounce, for example, in the groups, you can see who's going to attend the network. Now, if you're going to an online networking and you can actually see who the people are going to be there, because we do a 10-second intro, it's easier to connect. You might already know that Pam from Go Local magazine is going to be there, and you know somebody who's running an expo and need a tablecloth that's printed with a logo. You already have connected somebody, and people will remember you for that.
You may even have a service that can be sold to Pam.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's
so much. People forget this all the time, I think, because you can connect, you know, obviously on Senior Bounce, but you can also connect on LinkedIn beforehand. If you're going to a big event, to say, hi, I've seen that you're attending this event. Be lovely to catch up with you there. You've already made one connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly why we did Senior Bounce the way we did, because people ask us sometimes, why does it go in the post that so-and-so and so-and-so is connecting? And it's exactly that reason, so that you can be prepared for that network.
Well, you might just start thinking, because again, people will remember you for that, and it's just about helping others and building again the relationship.
Brilliant top tip. Number 5.
So I'm actually coming on to that now, helping others, because I think that is key to a successful business opportunities for not just you but for others. And what people will say, well, okay, I can help. Like you will say, you know, you can help others a lot, and maybe some people will take a lot of opportunities from you and not give back. But that's fine. You will soon kind of realize that that's happening and you can cut that out. But if you give somebody a connection when you met them, they are surely going to recommend you when it's somebody else that needs your services.
I would probably say 8 out of 10 people will be respectful.
Yeah.
And 2 out of 10 people you'll need to cut loose.
Yeah.
But then that's a lesson learned as well. So you know who you are and where you are with that. What are we on, number 6?
Set a goal.
Set a goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you wondered, people ask me about this one because I think when you go networking, again, I see people running around like headless chickens and,
dealing cards like a magician.
And nobody will remember you for that. And when I say set a goal, so it's not about like, right, I'm going to get a client today. It's not about that. It's about building effective relationships. So it's about setting a goal of maybe, say you're in a large event, it could be a summit online, it could be an expo, it could be anything. If you make sure that you're going to connect with at least, say, 4 people, sounds very little, but 4 relationships that you've had quality conversations with, that you can then follow up with, I'm coming on to following up, that is a key to business opportunities that can be made. Yeah. And it's a key top tip of making networking effective, not just, there's lots of different networking. There's coffee mornings, there's, and that's the social, which is great. We love doing socials as well, but it's got to be a bit of a balance because at the end of the day, you've got to have to bring business in, but it's how you do that. And my top tip around that is building the relationships. And as you can see, all of those top tips that I have are all about.
It's all focused on the connections and relationships. I forgot what number we're on now. Next top tip.
I think we're on be patient.
Yeah, now this one here, right? This is probably a massive mistake for people, right? They join a networking group, they go 3 times and they go, that's not for me. Or I've had nothing from it. Relationship building is a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. And I think people forget this when they're looking at key networking skills. Like you've got to be in the room, you've got to be present to build the relationships with people. And that takes time and patience.
Yeah, and I think you can, I think the people that say that they go to a couple of networking meetings and then say, I haven't got anything, so I'm going to just leave. You've got to also buy in. So you've got to do all of the above. We mentioned listening, we mentioned helping others. You've got to earn your trust. Yeah, and it's the know, like, trust that will create the business opportunities. And that's why it takes time. So be patient, help others, do listen, do all of that. And I can guarantee that you will be successful because you bought into the accountability.
Yeah, you're buying into the other members as well, aren't you? Okay, so I don't know what number we're on.
Be authentic, number 8.
Be authentic, number 8, yes.
So I think this is a great one because I see, it's funny. So we do a lot of interviews with people and they talk about their business. They all of a sudden have a different voice. We ask them then to tell us about a testimonial or somebody that they helped. And their voice will change and be much softer,
their persona will change,
happier, their eyes start slitting up, and it's a totally different voice.
See, I've really struggled with this because I've never been this type of person, right?
No.
So I'm quite authentic who I am. I'm, and when I'm in a good place, I'm in a good place. When I'm not, I'm like a train crash. Like you can't get me wrong. I don't think anyway. But then how I network and how I communicate with people is the same, which means I'm very authentic.
But what you do is that you're more of yourself.
Yeah.
Which sometimes come across as overconfident. Now, I sometimes come across as overconfident if I'm nervous about a situation. So we all have that ability to be something a little bit more of what we actually are. So it's still being authentic, but say, if I was going to be on stage, I get extremely nervous, right? I will walk into that room probably looking overconfident because I'm compensating for the fact that I'm nervous. Well, you will walk into the room and being louder than what you normally are because you're compensating for the fact that you're also a bit nervous.
Yeah.
And we do that in very different ways.
No, we do. But I do think authenticity, because you can't lie forever, right?
No.
And people will catch you out and you'll get it wrong.
And people will like you for who you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So we're on number 9 now.
Number 9 is one of my top tips. Guess what?
The follow-up. I absolutely love this tip, right? Now, I am not very good at this, okay? You are. However, I did utilize your goals previous in, which is go with the goal. And now I aim to connect with 2 to 3 people, which makes my follow-up process a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that has been my winning trick.
That's exactly why I say go with a goal.
Yeah.
Because if you have that goal of, and I was discussing actually at Humans with Daryl, and give Daryl a little shout out. Because if you have that goal, you can't walk into a room or be on a screen and talk to 30 people in one hour or a couple of hours or whatever it is. It's just not possible.
No, that's not possible.
You're not going to have you're not going to have a good experience for start.
You're going to be exhausted.
You're going to be exhausted. You're going to come back with a bunch of business cards and you think, oh gosh, what did Yellow Sub do? What did he do?
Yeah.
And you haven't got a clue. So by listening and then getting the information, having the goals and the purpose of why you're there in the first place will make the follow-up process super easy. I promise.
It's actually one of the reasons why I don't like speed networking, because you come away with three-second interviews with everyone, and then you come away with a pack of cards or pack of
speed
information.
Networking is the best thing is that you listen.
Yeah.
And if you go to speed networking, you've got to have the time afterwards to follow up. If you're busy and you haven't got a lot of time, speed networking, if you come away with 10 contacts and you haven't got time to follow up, you completely wasted your time.
So top tip number 10.
10 is stay in touch.
And I love this.
I love this one. It's something I've always done all my life, both in business and also with friendships. And you never know where this is going to lead. Like my best connections comes from staying in touch with people. And I recently sent a message. People will just pop into my head because that's just what I'm like. But it was somebody who had a difficult time with her family a little while ago. We hadn't spoken for ages. And I just thought, oh, I need to message Sophie. And I messaged her and said, hi, how are you? We haven't spoken for a while. And she was over the moon that I got in contact. Now, we've never done business together, but we kept in contact over the years. And I know for sure that somebody like her, I happily will recommend her. And vice versa, but we just stay in touch. And then when I say it doesn't have to be every week, it doesn't have to be just a Christmas card, it could be every now and again when people pop into your head.
Just send them a message.
Send them a little message.
Mine for that is Matt Priest from Business Doctors, and I met Matt years and years ago, and now he's a business partner, and that happened. I probably know Matt close to maybe 7 years. Before we really engaged as business partners.
Yeah.
And that's a prime example of that. Yeah. Okay, look, we do have to end the show. Yeah. All right. It's a massive topic. It's a great show, and you can understand now why I wanted to do it. Out of those 10 tips, what would you say was your top tip?
I can't just choose one. I don't think. It's got to be listen and follow up.
Absolutely spot on.
Listen and follow up, and people really underestimate the listening part. So do take when you go to your next networking, I would love to hear from you. And if you follow those tips, I am sure that you're going to have first off a really, really lovely networking experience, and you're going to come away with some great people, not just friends, but business owners that are similar to you, that want to have business, but they also want to help you.
Fantastic. And that is all we've got time for this show. It's been brilliant being in the studio. It's been an amazing interviewing my wife. And do you know what? Until next time, we'll see you again soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.